Hello and welcome to another week of setting epic intentions. Can you believe it, guys? We've been going for several weeks now. How many weeks has it been? Have you been counting? Okay, well, I'm really excited about sharing an intention with you every week. It really brings me a lot of joy to be able to talk about just the thinking that went into these cards and went into actually, it was before it was cards, it was going to be a book. So just the words, just the words, a lot of thinking went into these words. And I hope that it's bringing you new life and new feeling and new thinking, right? And we're going to pull an intention card every week until the end of 2021. So if you haven't gotten your cards yet, guys, remember that every week I put it in the description where you can get your cards to buy on Amazon. And I encourage you also, if you have any questions that you want to ask, that you please feel free to go ahead and do so. So let's get right into it. This week's intention is, this is a good one. I am forgiving. I am forgiving. And the affirmation says, I release the negative thoughts about those who have hurt or wronged me, replacing this with loving kindness towards them and myself. Now, forgiveness, guys, is a really, really powerful tool. And if you ever read or listen to Louise Hay's teachings, she talks about forgiveness a lot. And even the space of physical illness or dis-ease, forgiveness is oftentimes attributed to one of the areas that we have to work on. Because without forgiving, like let's say someone has hurt or wronged you, even when we think we've put it behind us because maybe we don't talk about it, we're not gossiping about it with somebody, it still can be within, festering and creating resentment and creating ill feelings, creating discomfort. And oftentimes you'll find that you don't even realize that it's triggering you. So you'll hear somebody's name or you'll experience something similar to what may have happened, or you'll even hear about a story of something similar to what happened to you, and you'll find yourself getting miserable or getting yourself, in an upset mood or maybe sad, anxious, depressed. And oftentimes we don't do enough work around forgiveness, around exploring where we have been hurt or wronged by someone, and where we may feel that we want that person to either pay or to suffer, or it can come across in a myriad of ways, right? And the power of forgiveness is so great that all the different teachers who are in the space of consciousness and awareness, or even the space of coaching, talk about the importance of forgiveness and how critical it is for us to release negative thoughts about persons. Even so, when you think about releasing negative thoughts about a person, oftentimes if we've been carrying things with us for a long time, we also need to forgive ourselves because we've been harboring these negative thoughts and it is actually hurting us. Sometimes these persons have gone off and carry on with their lives. They don't even remember some of the things that they have either done, or sometimes they don't even realize that they have hurt or wronged you. How many of you out there have experienced hurt by a person, and that person is just off in la la land? They may not have even realized that they caused you harm. That's happened to me, right? Because a lot of the things that we create about the pain that people have caused us happens in our minds. So after the initial impact, our minds are going to create a whole story around the situation, right? And so forgiveness then becomes a critical tool so that you can not just release the initial impact, but also release the story or stories that have come up around this space of forgiveness. Now, there are several different practices that I have learned over the years in terms of how to forgive, especially when it comes to forgiving other persons who you feel may have wronged you or may have hurt you. If you want to be a bit forthcoming with it, you can actually have a conversation with that person, but it's absolutely not required for you to do that in order to forgive them. Because the truth is, forgiveness is about you. Remember, forgiveness is about you, not about them, right? And so, practices that I've actually done is I've written completion letters. And basically, what a completion letter is me sitting down and writing down all the things that I would have wanted to say to this person, getting it out, allowing myself to express it with the intention of letting go of the resentment, releasing the negative thoughts, and moving on. So it's not to sit there, write it out, and then get further upset and decide, yeah, now I know why I was so mad. Like, that's the opposite of what you're trying to do. Okay. It's completion because you are setting an intention of forgiveness, which ultimately surrenders the situation and moves it behind you. And it may be something that is going to take some time in terms of the actual process, because once you get into the habit of blaming and upset, or let's not even say blame, but let's say you get into the habit of being upset with someone, it can take a little while for you to move past it. Yeah. And so when you set an intention of completing and forgiving, over time, you have to remind yourself, I have forgiven and I have moved on. So initially, your brain is going to be there, your thoughts are going to be like, nagging at you. But as with everything else, as time passes, the wounds will heal. So there's one, writing a completion letter, and tossing it. You can rip it up, burn it, toss it out, whichever way, right? You can also stand in the mirror, in front of the mirror, and do some mirror work where you're talking to yourself as though you're talking to the person, expressing whatever it is that is on your heart, and saying that you forgive them, and then asking forgiveness to come within to forgive yourself, right? Mirror work is also very powerful because you have to look at yourself. You have to really face yourself, right? And there's also prayer, meditation, where you can set an intention going into your meditation to release and forgive a person or a situation that has occurred. But the core thing that I want you to remember here, guys, regardless of which method you use for this forgiveness, is that you want to set an intention of forgiveness. Don't just go in there writing down all these things that you want to say to the person, like you're telling them off all over again, without actually wanting to release it and allow yourself to be free and to feel the peace of mind that will eventually come when you have intentionally let go of resentment. Okay? So, this one is actually really powerful, guys, and can open up a lot of blocks for you. So, this week, we are choosing to be forgiving. Take care until next week when we set another epic intention.